Brilliant. So that is recording now. As I said, we'll go through everything, and I'll share my screen to show you the different platforms. Some of you may have already done some of these things, so sorry if it's a touch repetitive. But hopefully the idea of this call is to help you understand all the different steps to enrolment, and to just make sure that you're comfortable with that process. As I said, we'll take questions at the end, but Alan's here with me. He'll keep an eye on the chat. Um, I only have one screen, so if you put your hand up, I might not see you, but Alan will be there to pick up those questions. Right, let's get started. So let's start with Kent Vision. You should have all had a link sent through to the Kent Vision application. Now, when it says application, we're not judging you on what you put into your application. It's not like a normal university. You apply and we'll tell you whether you've got a place on the course. You do have a place on the course already. As long as nothing flags up during our eligibility checks, it's all going to be absolutely fine. But we get you to put something into Kent Vision because this is what your formal offer will come through. So you should have created a applicant login. Even if you've studied at the University of Kent before, you have to register as a new user each time. So I have already begun my application. So once you've created your login, you will see your application and you'll go through to continue. It'll get you to check your details. Obviously, username will be your email. Just make sure that you've got it correct because otherwise the system will keep sending things to the wrong email. I will continue with our application. So you should start on the personal details page. Anything with an asterisk is a required field. So just make sure that everything's correct. Just to add, your certificates will be in the name that you input into Kent Vision. Obviously, you're a few years away from graduating. There is time to change things, but just make sure that you have put the correct name in the way that you want it to appear on certificates in there. So it asks for your date of birth, gender, ethnicity, disability and nationality. So nothing too much on that page. The only one, obviously, if you were born outside of the UK, it's not asking about that. It's asking where you normally live. So normal country of residence should be the United Kingdom at the moment. So you'll go through to next. As you'll see, you'll get validation errors on each page. I'm not going to go in and fill in all the details because it'll take forever, but it will flag up each time. And obviously you won't be able to submit until you've inputted all the information in the mandatory fields. So the next page is course details. You should see this. Do you want to be considered for advanced entry? Just select no. It makes no difference to apprenticeship applications, so it doesn't need to be yes in there. Entry date should be January 2024. And you'll see here reasons for study. It is a mandatory field, but we only require you to put the minimum. So if you can just put a brief 100 words of why you're choosing to study this programme, that'd be sufficient for that field. Your source of funding on the drop down, you should see apprenticeship in there. So if you can put that, and is funding proposed or definite, if you can click definite, this has already been agreed with your employers. So you'll go to next, again, data validation, and then qualifications. So there's two systems that we're asking you to complete as part of this. So for Kent Vision, it's not as important to add your qualifications. It is going to ask you if you've studied a degree or not. And it will just ask you to kind of input that one qualification into here. That's all sorry, that is all we require on Kent Vision. The rest of your qualifications you'll upload on Aptem. You can upload your degree qualification here, but it will ask you to redo it on Aptem as well. So you don't have to put it onto Kent Vision. Aptem is the more important one for us checking qualifications. So then we'll move on to other qualifications. Obviously, native English language or native language, and if you've taken an English language test. Work experience isn't a required field, so don't worry too much. But if you could input your current employment details into there, it is helpful to have it on the system. And again, other relevant qualifications, we don't need you to list. You'll be adding those to Aptem. And then the declaration. So again, it's going to ask you for a copy of your CV, if you can add that here. We don't need any coursework, additional supporting references or anything like that. But it does help us if you could add your job description under any other supporting documentation. So that's something that we're required to have on file, is a current job description for you. So you'll come to the end, click the acceptance of the terms and conditions and click submit. I'm not going to, because I have to keep using this account. But once you've done that, you will get a message likely that says something about us reviewing your application and we'll respond to you within 30 days. We'll review the applications much quicker, but just say you won't get your formal offer through Kent Vision until all of the other things we've discussed on this call have been completed. So the next system you should get a login to is Aptem. So the Aptem login email comes directly from the Aptem system. So we suggest checking your emails for subject title Aptem. They sometimes go into junk and spam. So have a look there. If for any reason you still can't find it, we'll put contact details in the chat afterwards, but it is the CHDA onboarding@kent.ac.uk email that you would need to contact. But obviously me and Alan are also able to forward on those emails. So you'll log into Aptem. That's strange. That didn't happen earlier when I logged in. Sorry about that. Okay, this is what you should see when you log into Aptem. So before you start, it will tell you what you need to complete Aptem. So your national insurance number, the date you started your current employment, your passport number, and eligibility documents. In terms of eligibility documents, we're looking for either a copy of your passport. If you don't have a valid passport, then we would need two types of identification. Those can be a driving license, birth certificate, or evidence of your national insurance number. So with Aptem, we do need you to complete all of the stages. So the first one is the individual learner record. So again, your learner details. Health and education information. A level 6 is equivalent to a degree. a level 3 is equivalent to A levels, a level 7 is masters. So just pick the one that's relevant to you. Employment status, please confirm that you're in paid employment, and the start date again of your date with your employer. I'm hoping it won't be an issue, but no apprentice should be self-employed or currently on any other full-time education or training programme. If for any reason you are, please get in contact with us after the call just so that we can discuss that with you. And please input your working hours per week. And then we come down to the self-declaration. So none of you should be unemployed or anything like that. So just go through these. And then when you come down to the end, there should be a declaration. So down here, it'll ask you to create a signature that you will then use throughout the APTEM system. So once you've completed the ILR, we need the extended ILR completing. So emergency contact details, eligibility. Again, this is looking at whether you live and work in the UK. I think most of you do. I'm pretty sure that that's all okay. If you're not primarily employed in England, again, if you could just flag that here on the APTEM system. So quite simple questions. And this bit down here is where you will add a copy of your passport. So you'll just need to save it as a PDF or JPEG file on your computer and upload it into here. It does say English and maths certificate in there, but that actually needs adding later, although it doesn't matter. If you did add it in there, we can pick it up. Employer details, so obviously the name of your current employer goes in here, and any other training that you've completed in the past 12 months. These should all be no's. If you are currently undertaking any other government-funded training, then we need to know about that in advance of you starting the programme. And again, personal circumstances. These are free text boxes, so I've given some examples there of the kind of things that you can put. And then additional information, so just agreeing that we can view and share your personal learning record. That's just that we can look at past qualifications and so that we can make sure that we can add the qualifications that you achieve at Kent to the personal learning record. And obviously confirm the privacy notice. So under personal learner record is where we're going to ask you to upload copies of your certificates. So in here, there's only a few things that we need. We need to see a copy of your GCSE Maths and English qualification or equivalent qualifications. So if, for example, you've done functional skills or key skills or adult numeracy and literacy at some point instead of GCSEs, please add those. We can also accept A levels. So if you've got an A level in maths or an A level in English and it's easier to find those certificates, we can use those. In addition to maths and English, we also need a copy of your degree or your highest level qualification. If you don't have any of these certificates, again, if you can get in contact with us, then we can give you advice on seeking replacements. So then you'll come to the skills radar. And I spoke to our admin team this morning. Some of you may have already done APTEM and were incredibly efficient, but you might not have seen the skills radar. So if you've done APTEM but you didn't do a skills radar, please can you log back into APTEM to now complete this. Email should be coming out to you very soon. But if you know that you haven't done it, if you could go back in and complete this. And I'm sorry, they didn't create me one that says the right program, but for you, it will say operational research specialist knowledge. So it's going to look at the knowledge, skills, and behaviours, and it will list all of the knowledge that you will be gaining as an apprentice on the programme. The skill scan isn't for us to say whether you're getting a place on the programme or whether your knowledge is sufficient to go on the programme. It's almost the opposite. We want to understand what your base knowledge of the subject is, and just make it extra confusing, and why we do need these onboarding support calls is you'll see that a 9 here is green, and 5s, 2s, anything lower is red. So if I show you in here, see below a 7's red, above a 6 is green. So we're actually looking for apprentices to be anywhere really between 1 and 6 at the starting point of their apprenticeship. You'll repeat the skills scan every 6 months with your apprenticeship advisor. So we're looking that you've got room to grow and that you're not an expert already in the subject. Ultimately, if you were already completely qualified and fully competent in all areas of the skills scan, we as a university shouldn't be allowing you onto the programme. So we're not asking you to be 9s and 10s. Kind of 1 to 6 is the right point to be scoring. If for any reason though you truly believe that you have already all the knowledge in that subject area, we need you to either add a note as to how you gained that competency, or any kind of certificates that you might have. So one example might be that if you've already got a qualification in project management and one of the knowledge refers to project management, we'd want to see that certificate just to know that you've already got that part of the apprenticeship and you may not need to complete it as part of this programme. So it'll look at knowledge. You go through and score yourself against each one. It'll look at skills, again, same process. And it'll look at behaviours as well. And for all apprenticeships, behaviours can be quite broad. So things like manages time effectively. What we would say is think of it from the perspective of, do you have anything left to learn? Could you maybe be taught something about time management that you didn't already know? This is one where we tend to see very high scores from people, but obviously we as a university, if you're an absolute expert in everything, shouldn't be putting you on an apprenticeship. So just bear that in mind as you're completing your skills scan. And then final page, obviously, do you hold the GCSE or equivalent in maths and English? You can re-add your qualifications here, but it's not necessary as long as you've done it on the personal learner record page. Confirming that you have a passport and adding in your national insurance number, and then you can click finish to go to the end. Right, I'm just going to come back for a second. And I'm going to stop recording for a second as well, just so that anyone can ask questions.